Hello, I'm making this video for teachers. I'm a teacher myself. I'm going to show you a brief introduction to using repl.it. Specifically, we'll have a look at making a repl.it classroom. I should warn you that I'm no expert on using this feature myself, but I have given it a go. My students liked it, and I thought I would share my small amount of knowledge of using this. Now, if you haven't already signed up for repl.it, when you sign up, do make sure that you click this link here, okay? The actual sign up process is terrifically easy. I don't think you're going to have a problem with that at all. Now, so I'm already logged in. You can see I'm logged in here, and yeah, that's my username there. If I click that, notice that I have teacher there. Now, if you didn't previously click the option for teacher, you may not have that there. Well, let's go to account. And so we scroll on down, we go to roles, and you can select teacher in. So if you haven't got that teacher option that I showed, make sure you select that, and I think then it will appear. If I wanted to, I could make a new, say, Python file, because that's what I'm interested in. From this page, I could just click that. But if I want to make something that I want to share with my students, I'm going to do that elsewhere. So I will go here and then go to teacher. Now, having clicked teacher, you get something completely different. Now, last week when I tried this with my students, you can see I've got some students enrolled here. I'm not going to click that because that's going to reveal their names, but it worked quite well. Students were really engaged. They quite liked it. They like the chat feature, which actually I think is probably something I would prefer to remove, but I don't know whether you can do so. But they could also do collaborative coding as well, so that was quite nice. So since I've had that lesson, I've also created a couple more classrooms. But we're not going to look at those just for the moment. So I'm going to go into create classroom. This is what you would do. And I'm going to give it a name. Now, obviously, you can give it whatever descriptive name you like. But what am I going to call it? Let's say I'll call it an example classroom. Now, remember, this name is going to be visible to your students, so choose something appropriate there. When I'm coding with computer science students, I use Python. In actual fact, I probably do more programming in assembly language nowadays, but that's another story. So, and then I'm going to describe my class. So this is helpful to the students because they'll actually see this. I'm going to say made for teachers, but anyone can join. So you could have some sort of descriptive thing there. Now you can have images as well. Now I think I've got an image somewhere that I can just drag in. I don't know whether it's going to be appropriate or not. Let's just drag that image in there. And so it's quite nice because it gives the students something that might indicate what it's about. Now, this classroom's got nothing to do with electronics, but, you know, anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm leaving it private for the moment, but I think when I share the classroom, so I'm going to share a link to the classroom, I'll probably share a link to the classroom in this YouTube video. And so I think you'll be able to actually access it. I'm not going to make it public just for the moment, not until I've confirmed to myself whether my students will actually see it as well, because it might get a little bit confusing. So I'll then click create classroom. You'll see that now we've got an example classroom, and there's the descriptive text that we added there. We've got assignments, projects, student overview. So we've not invited any students here yet. And it says currently it's private. The way that I've done this so far, I've created assignments. So an assignment might be like a simple programming task. Maybe you want the students to write, say, a function that adds two numbers or something like that. So that's what I'm going to do. At the moment, you can see there's nothing in here, as you would expect. I just created the classroom. So I'm going to start by clicking create assignment. Okay, so the next stage is going to be to click create assignment, and I need to give it a name. I'm going to call it Python add two numbers. So in this assignment for my students, or actually it's a bit of an example, it's not actually going to be given to my students. It's going to help whoever's trying it to learn how to code up a function to add two numbers together and then to return the sum. So Python add two numbers seems like a reasonable name, and I'll click create. And so it's opened up here with, this is where we add the code. We can add some instructions over here, and obviously this is the shell. So let's start adding some code. So I'm going to define And I'll probably write the whole code to start off with just to make sure that everything works. I'm going to remove some of the code, so leave those bits where the student would then say add the code back in. But let's define a new function called add nums, and it takes two arguments, a and b. And so we say let's have total equals a plus b. Now that's slightly annoying, isn't it? Do you see how it did code completion there? So when I type B, it actually changed it to bytes. But so you've got to watch out for that, and the student's going to have to watch out for that as well. And then so I'm going to return a total, and let's define a main subroutine as well. And I think what we'll have n equals add nums. Let's say 3 and 4, and then we'll print that. And then we'll call main. Okay. So fairly basic stuff so far. So if I just click run, and sure enough, it added those two numbers. So that, that's the sort of thing that I would like the students to be able to do. But let's say that we don't include that bit. So I'm just going to add a comment. Students should add their code here. And I'll add something else. You need to add A and B together. Okay, so you could add little hints here, or you could also add some instructions here. So you should read the code comments for hints as to what to do. And you can even add like code blocks as well. So for example, you could have, say, var equals var1 plus var2. Oops. Here is some more help. Okay, so you can do whatever you like over here, but these are going to be instructions that are going to, or whatever you like. You can add images and things like that as well. So it's really quite flexible. Now, and also have headings, so your instructions. So you can do things like this. So you can have instructions, no, your instructions. So you can do things like this. And also we've got this mark down and mark up. Now I'm sure you're familiar with HTML markup. Well, they also have these markdown codes. So for example, if say you're probably familiar with like doing star to make something bold. Well, at the moment that doesn't work, but if you enable markdown, so now markdown shortcuts are on. So if you quite like doing that, then you can use shortcuts like that, but it's up to you whether you do that or not. Right, okay, so now obviously this code's now not going to run correctly because total is, well, this is, first of all, it's not assigned, and then also it's going to be a long return value as well. So, if you try and run this, obviously we've got an error here at the moment. By the way, what I've sometimes found, it seems to be a little bit of a bug. Sometimes I get an EOF error, an end of file error, and I thought initially that would be just because I needed to press return after the last line. Well, it seems to be a bit inconsistent, so I'm not too sure about that. But if you get an EOF error, you might want to add an extra return there. Anyway, so what we're going to do, let's, if we click next, by the way, you could click student preview, so you just have a look at that. That's what the students are going to see like that. So we click return to edit, and then we click next, because what you can do is you can actually add some tests. So when the student submits their code, then your tests check that their code is acceptable. So that's going to save you a lot of work if you can do it. I don't think you would always be able to do it, because it depends on the sort of code that you're asking them to do. But if you can do it, then that would be very nice. So click next. Now, so you get the option, you could manually check their work. So when they click submit as a student, then it gets, a copy gets sent to you, and then you get to approve it or not. The automatic unit tests, those look very, very nice. Okay, and then there's also some input and output matching as well, which I've used, but just this time around we use the unit tests. So I need to create something called a test case, and so Now you can give this any name that you like. It doesn't actually matter. So I'm going to test something. Well, I'm going to say test nums. Just it's helpful because that's what we're actually going to be testing. Now here at the moment, if the test, by the way, we actually write the test itself here. Now if the test fails, then whatever's written in this box here is going to be the thing that appears to the student. So this test failed is not going to be terrifically useful to the students, is it? So what shall we write? Your code should add two numbers together and return the sum. For example, if you used 2 and 3 as the arguments, it should return 5. Okay, something like that. Now, so now here, this is the actual where we do the coding for the test. So it's a little bit involved. Now, if you have a look at, there's an example here. So if you click this, and you'll get to see an example. All right, because I've already seen the example, I'm not going to reveal that one again. So I'm going to say self assert. So I'm going to have an assert. Now, assert is something which so you're saying that this must be true, and if it isn't true, then it's going to throw an exception. So I assert that this must be true for it to pass. So I'm going to say assert equals. Assert equals, and I'm going to give it the function name, which was add nums, and I'm going to say that the automated test is going to test it with, say, a 3 and a 4. But you can have any numbers. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have 150 if you want. It doesn't really matter. So if we did add nums, 150 were the arguments, then obviously you would expect to have 150 in return, like that. But you don't have to use 150 and 150. You could use 1, 2, returning, say, 3 if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So yeah, we've matched up those brackets there, so that should all be right. And so let's try it then. Okay, so you don't click that. If you click that, then that's going to add another test case. Okay, so that sort of confused me a little bit at one point. So let's just do a student preview now. And so, for example, let's say they've messed it up. So they say total equals A, for example. Okay. So obviously we actually need total equals A plus B, and then we're going to return A plus B. But obviously this, it's actually going to run, the code's going to run. Oh, notice you've got an EOF error. Really weird that, because I bet you next time I run this, no EOF error. So weird that, isn't it? Anyway, so it returns 3, which obviously 3 plus 4 is not 3, but the logic to the function at the moment is wrong. So now what we're going to do, we are going to try to submit this as a student. So let's see. And so the test run, and of course that's failed. So, and that was the name of the test that we added. And then so we can, as a student, we could click what's wrong, and then you can expand this. So there's the description that we added to the test. Your code should add two numbers together and return the sum. For example, if you use 2 and 3 as the arguments, it should return 5. Okay. If they click this, they're not going to get anything that's particularly useful, probably to the average student. Okay, because they're not going to understand assertions. So it's, they could, if they wanted, to click submit anyway, and then you get the opportunity then to give them feedback. I think I had that with a couple of students, but more likely than not, they're going to click keep trying. So let's try this now. So A plus B, so that's what we want, isn't it? And then let's just try running this as a student. Yeah, so they can see that that works. Yeah, 3 plus 4 is 7, like that. So that's all okay. Then they can click submit. And it's passed all the tests. Now, notice it says pass all tests. So, obviously in this case, it's in one test. I haven't tried it with more tests, but presumably you can have a whole series of tests as well. And then, so then they click submit. And obviously this is just a preview. Okay. So we've got that, and then you can click publish. So let's publish it now. And hopefully, so where are we? Yeah, we're in assignments now, and you can see that we've got that assignment. Okay, now, so when I had several assignments, what I found, in fact, what we'd do, we just go back for a moment, go back to the dashboard. We've got an example classroom. Notice it says, no assignments, just do a refresh. I just hit F5. You should see that there is an assignment there now. But we go to say to this one, and just see that we've got 2 assignments. And now I've clicked enable dependencies. Now the dependencies feature, as far as I understand it, allows me to say that one assignment is dependent on you passing previous assignment. So that's the way the students will see it. They'll probably see, or I think they do see, a series of assignments in that classroom, but they can't do the latter ones if they haven't done the formal ones first. They have to start from the top. Now, so that was really useful. So I clicked that thing like that. And then I also chose manual. So then that allowed me to organize them. So, having chosen manual, then you can click that thing, yeah, and then so you can drag them around. So the first assignment I did was how to open a file, and then the next assignment was to actually open a file. So I found that quite useful. So I think for many student type situations where you can't wholly rely on the students not just to go to the later stages, then I think I would enable dependencies. Let's click back to dashboard. And so, yeah, hope that's useful. Now, let's just have another look at another example. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll have a look at another example. Okay, having taken a short break, we're now ready maybe to start another assignment. So we've already got one assignment in our example classroom. I'll just click that again and I'm going to create another assignment. And this one I think I'm going to call get name. I've already got get, or previously I had get name 1. Don't worry about that. That's because I previously typed in this box. And so then let's click create. And so the purpose of this assignment to you as a teacher is to see how you can validate input and output. Okay, so let's define get name as a function. Now get name is going to be super simple. Let's say n equals input. Enter your name, and then we're going to return n. Okay, so nothing groundbreaking there. And we'll define main, and we will say let's have name equals get name. So that's just going to call, obviously that's just going to call a function, assign the return value, which is that to this variable, which is local to main, and then we're going to say print hi name. Okay, now the way I'm doing this at the moment, I'm typing up all the code to get it to actually run properly. So once I've confirmed that it's going to be working okay, then I'm going to delete maybe some of the code, and then you could make that as a student exercise. Obviously it depends on what level your students are at, whether you might not even give them any of this, but yeah, anyway, let's try this. Oh, well, it's not going to run because at the moment we've only got definitions, we haven't actually got the call. So let's call main. Now let's run it. Enter your name. Let's call myself Emily. Love, hi Emily. Okay, so that works all right. Now, so what are we going to have? Well, at the moment, obviously the code is fully functional. So let's comment something out. So let's assume that code isn't there. So the students might have to actually put that in. So we need some instructions for the students. Oops, let's go to, for some reason, I think to get rid of the heading, we'll just do that. You need to complete this code by, and some instructions. Okay, I'm not going to type them all up now. That's a waste of your time and mine. Now, so at the moment, of course, this actually wouldn't do what you were hoping for. So let's call ourselves Sue this time. So of course it didn't print out that name. So let's go to next. And we're going to add some input and output matching. And we're going to create a test case. So what are the inputs going to be? Well, I think it said enter your name. That was it asked us to enter the name, didn't it? So let's assume that they type, say, a name. Well, it doesn't really matter. Okay, we're going to test it with the name Emily. Oh, by the way, we should give it a test case name here. So let's call this good name. Oh, actually, I'm gonna do it all in lowercase. Good name. Okay, so I'm gonna whatever the student submits, we're going to test it with the name of Emily. But you could test it with anything. And we're going to be flexible. Flexible is going to ignore about white space. I think that's probably best with students because know what they're like. Not best at typing in my experience. Could use regular expressions, but that would be more advanced. So what are we expecting? Well, if they've written their code well, then hopefully it's going to say, hello, Emily. I mean, of course, I would actually prefer a comma and a full stop in there, but I'm not going to make this an English exercise. And so let's just click Create. And let's do a student preview. So let's assume that this is what they've done. They haven't, maybe they said something like, print hi, but they haven't actually done the concatenation with name. So now let's run this. And by the way, EOF error, yeah, it's really annoying. I bet next time it's not going to do that. So let's just type Jeff this time. And just hi, and of course it doesn't say hi Jeff. So let's assume the student tries to submit this. And the good name test says there's an output mismatch. So let's have a look at what's wrong. And so it tells us that if the teacher's input was Emily, the teacher would expect to see hello Emily, but yours will just say hi. Okay, so obviously, and then it goes through that as well. So let's keep trying. So the teacher's expecting hello Emily. So let's now code this up to say hello. Now, of course, they wouldn't actually write hello Emily, although I mean they could do, and then obviously that would actually create a problem because that would actually pass the test. So let's do hello and then name like that. So we're going to get rid of that one because it wasn't a hi anyway. And so let's just test it as a student would do. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to press that twice. So Dave this time, so it should say hello Dave. Yeah, fine. So then the student clicks submit. And oh, there's an output mismatch. Let's have a look. Let's see what's wrong. So right now. So teacher's input Emily, and the teacher expects to see hello Emily, but my output, of course, was enter your name, hello Emily, because of course enter your name is actually output, so we need to include that in that test. So let's just go back, and we need to have a look at this test, and so the output will be enter your name, and then it will then say hello Emily. Okay, so let's update that. And let's do a student preview. Okay, and so this time let's I need to get that. So print hello name. Okay, so that should work now. Let's try and run that like a student would do. They just Henry or whatever. Okay, hello Henry. So remember, the output is actually enter your name. It's not Henry there because that's input, that's not output. So the output is enter your name and then hello Henry. And then let's try submit. And sure enough, it's passed all the tests. So then they would click submit. Okay. Now, I think I will stop there with this test. I think that's probably good enough. So I'm just going to click publish, publish now. And so now we've got 2 published assignments here. We've got Python add 2 numbers and we've got get name. So if I click enable dependencies, So I can make it dependent so that they can't do get name until they've done Python add two numbers. And rather than having them in this order, I'm going to make it manual. So now I'm going to say, well, look, they must do they must do add two numbers first. Sorry, I was getting that around the wrong way. They must do add two numbers first, and once they've done add two numbers first, then they will be able to move on to the next assignment of get name 1. You can click share, and so you get that link. Now, what I did at school was I then just sent an email. We've got integration between Outlook and Sims, so I can easily send an email to a class. And I sent the email to the class so that all the students click the link, and what happened then, I think then they were prompted to log in. Now, not a single student asked me about how to do that, so it must have been quite intuitive, no problems at all. One or two of them just chose silly names, which wasn't very helpful. A couple of them also chose their own personal email addresses, but that wasn't actually a big problem, so long as they had internet access in the classroom at that time, because then they had gone to the phones because my school blocks Gmail and the like. But as I say, it seemed to be really easy, and they all seem to be able to get straight into doing the assignments. So I know this video has gone quite a bit longer than I had initially planned, but I hope it's useful. If you found it useful, I'd really appreciate it if you maybe post a comment, just let me know, or give it a thumbs up, or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already.